Smith's Chapel Baptist Church, founded in the late 1800s, has a rich and thriving history. It has evolved through 7 phases, with the first church beginning in the bedroom of the home of my great-grandfather, John Henry Buck Smith, who was a former slave. The second church moved to a brush arbor, and the third church was built with nickels, dimes, and quarters saved by the parishioners. Struck by fate, the church burned, and a fourth church was built in front of the cemetery, but later became inadequate and was demolished. Congregation then held services in the fifth location, Smith Chapel Elementary School, while the sixth church, the first with modern facilities, was constructed and located on the parking lot of the current church. Eventually, the seventh church was built to accommodate more ministries. This edifice and education department were dedicated in April 1988. To God be the glory, for Grandpa Buck's vision is still flourishing. Proverbs 29:18 declares, where there is no vision, the people perish.
It's good when I am dying. It's good when I am dying. It's good when I am dying, and it's good enough for me. The old time religion, the old time religion, the old time religion is good enough for me. The old time religion, the old time religion, the old time religion is good enough for me.
You know, growing up during that time in the church were hard times, but they were the most humbling and gratifying experiences of my lifetime.
I remember during the times we relied heavily on God and each other's strength as a family to make the journey to church.
Every Sunday morning, Mama got up first. You'd hear the pots and pans rattling in the kitchen. She's always fixing breakfast. She fixed breakfast and she fixed Sunday dinner before we went to church on Sunday mornings. Made sure that we got up and got our baths and got ready to go to church. Everybody, if you were in the house, you had to go to church. You had to go to church.
I can remember we'd get there early because we even had Sunday school. We went there for Sunday school, so you know we had to get up real early.
But we made it. We made it. Didn't have all the rooms, Sunday school rooms and stuff. Mama Orly taught Sunday school outside under the tree. She'd have her black and white on. And we'd sit around her on the ground out there and in them little chairs, and we had Sunday school out there. But before, when we were growing up and lived in Campobella, everything was done on Saturday evenings. Saturday evenings, our shoes, socks, everything was put out on Saturday evenings. And Saturday evenings, we had Sunday school at home. She taught the Sunday school lesson on Saturday evening. So when we got to church, we knew what Sunday school lesson was about. We walked to church after that on Sunday mornings.
It didn't seem that long then, but that's a long walk from Campobella, where we live, almost on the edge of Landrum, to Smith Chapel. And that's a long walk, but we walked there to church every Sunday.
The roads were dirty. The roads were muddy. They weren't paved like they are now. They were dirt roads. They were dirt roads from Smith Chapel to where we lived in Campobella. The roads were dirt roads. And our little patent leather shoes that we wore by the time we got to church, they were full of dirt. But what Mama do? Take time and wipe those shoes off. Make sure those shoes was clean before we went in that church. Yep. Sure did.
That. And even I can remember baptism. I can't forget that. How they would, we call it dam up the water. You know, you have to go out there and put, I guess it was, I think the rocks, was it rocks they put out there to dam that water up? Anyway, you know, you back the water up. And so it'll get deep enough for the pastor to get in there.
Oh, wow. Well, I got baptized when I was young, and I do remember we didn't have a pool at the church. We had to go, we walked down the street in our attire, white attire. Everybody had their white attire on. The deaconesses and everybody had their white on, and we went down to a little branch, a little in the woods, out from Mr. Waddell Durrell's house. Was some water down there, and they baptized us in that water. But later on, I got baptized again, and it was they had made a pool outside, a bricked-in pool outside, and I was baptized again out there because I just felt the need to be baptized again because I got baptized at a real early age. But yeah, it was something else. We did not. All the people before me, my brothers and my friends, older friends, they got baptized in that river. Down there, that little, I say a river, I guess it was like a little creek. It wasn't much of a river, it was just like a little creek or something down there. Yeah, it's not that far. It's actually right down the road from Miss Knuckles. Just in that house right there, and just right down there is in the back there somewhere is a little creek-like thing back there, and that's where we got baptized at. Yep, sure did. Didn't have that pool, the luxury of a pool. Sunday mornings wasn't so bad walking to church as far as anybody bothering us, but in the evenings, like Sunday night, if we had to walk back home on Sunday nights, that was the time that we was always afraid. Yeah, because they had liquor stills in the woods and stuff. So we were always afraid to walk home because the roads were dark. There was no lights on the road. And so we were always afraid that somebody would, attack us or something if we were out there late at night. But it was never just one person walking, so it was a group of us walking home. So, the racial thing, it was always there. It was always a factor. It was always a factor in our growing up. But we just had to be aware of where we were at any particular time. During the day, it wasn't so bad. In the mornings when we walked to church, nobody bothered us. But late at night, we just didn't know. No lights on the roads or anything. So we just had to be aware. We had to make sure that we got home before it was too late.
Basically, we knew it was racial tension, but nobody bothered us.
Because sometimes it was just Mama and us. And the older boys might not have been with us. But a lot of times, it was the older boys and not Mama, because Mama had to work, or something. So it was something hurt. But sometimes people would bring us home, some of the deacons and their wives would bring us home, but it was a scary thing for me because I was small. And that was always scary for me to be walking in the dark. I was always afraid of the dark. And then my brothers, Fred and Roy, they was always telling you scary stories and stuff. So you were always afraid of the dark, because they told you scary stories all the time. You think a shadow is behind you or something. Something's going to get you if you're out there at night, So yeah, it was a scary time for me.
About holes in the road, they would say, it's holes in the road. And so that would scare Richard a lot because he was scared walking about the holes in the road.
I was the youngest. They used to carry me on their shoulder, and at night when we walk home because I'd get so tired. They'd put me on their shoulders and bring me home. I remember that. Yeah. Had to really want to go to church. Really want to go to church. And sometimes we want to go, but my mother was one that you were going to church no matter what. And then we sometimes, stay all day long. And Mama was the one that no matter what, we were going to church, and no, we had to walk. I mean, that long distance, but she was determined we were going to church. Go to somebody's house and wait for the second service. And after the second service,
hopefully they was closer.
Oh, yeah. They were like Miss Knuckles and Miss Daisy Smith, Miss Daisy and Mr. Bubba Smith. They were right down the road, and Mr. Waddell Durrell. They were right down the street from the church, so we always went to one of their houses and had lunch with them and waited for the second service if there was second service. Yeah, they were always good people. We loved them. We were family. We were all family. So that's the way the church has always been, just one big family, always. Going to Smith Chapel, it was like going, everybody was eager to go because you saw your friends. You saw all your friends there at Smith Chapel. The people that you cared about was there at Smith Chapel. And so it was just one big family. The Knuckles, the Mills, the Smiths, we were just one big family. We loved each other. No arguments between each other. We fed each other. I mean, they took care of each other. The women took care of each other.
Everybody was responsible for bringing their own basket full of food. And whatever they brought, we put it out. They would have the benches sitting outside, and you would put your food on have your benches there for your food. But then they would have tables, set out for people to eat their food. And everybody would, if something in their box you wanted, they'd give it to you, We eat out of everybody's box. That was fun. I mean, it was good. I enjoyed that.
We call it homecoming, and then we call it dinner on the ground because most of the time it was outside. It was outside. They set up tables outside because there wasn't enough room on the inside. We didn't have a room for the dinner on the inside because it was just like a 2-room church sometimes, and so the dinner would be outside. They set up stuff outside, and then we'd have blankets outside sometimes, and we sit down on the ground and it was like a picnic, like people go on picnics and stuff. Sometimes it was like that. Yeah, we shared food. We shared, everybody bring a basket. Everybody brought a basket of food. Mostly fried chicken. With that black pepper on that fried chicken was so good. I think that's why I like black pepper so much. Woo! Because that black pepper on that chicken was so good out there on that dinner on the ground. Y'all, those women knew how to fry that chicken. Sure did. It was excellent. We as small children enjoyed ourselves. We sure did. We used to have picnics there at Smith Chapel. We didn't go anywhere. We had in the summer, the Knuckles, they had friends that had horses, or they had horses or something. They used to ride horses and stuff. They used to have a good time out there. We just did everything together. We couldn't go anywhere to entertain the children and stuff. They entertained us right there on the grounds of Smith Chapel. We did everything right there, entertainments and everything else right there. If there was a funeral, those women would come in to the house, clean your house, do the children's hair, everything, wash your clothes. I mean, whatever that needed to be done, they did it. And that's the way the missionaries took care, and they cooked food, and I mean, they were just that close that they didn't, the women, if it was a funeral, somebody passed at your house, it was nothing said. The lady of the house, she didn't say, no, you can't come and do this, you can't. Those women just came in and took over and did everything for that person, so that she wouldn't have anything to worry about. And they just loved each other like that.
And even when my brother died, and it tears me up when I think about it, those ladies, all of them from the church came, and they cleaned Mama's house, washed out me and Ruth's hair, straightened her hair. Took the straightening comb, straightened her hair, and fixed. I can remember just well Miss Lois Landrum fixing my hair, fixing Ruth's hair. He had that great big bang, fixed a big bang and 2 ponytails. I remember these things. And they took care of us.
How they used to comb my hair. I had that thick, nappy hair. But they would comb it. Miss Orlee, Mama Orlee, I called her because she was my godmother. She'd comb my hair. Have a great big old bang in the front. But she would comb my hair for me. Yeah.
Even I can remember because Mama, she raised us by herself. And one time our lights got cut off. And Mr. Thad, that's Dorothy Landrum's daddy, Miss Orlee's husband, they came. They had our lights turned back on. I remember that. I remember things that, the church done for us.
So that's where I learned that love, that agape love from, because that's the kind of love that they had for each other. Yeah, they had that, and I learned that was always a part of my life. That was always a part of my life. I appreciate that in those women. Some people say those were hard times, and they were hard times, but they were good times. They were good times. I look back on them, they were good times for me because I love those people and they love us. So, and that's where you learn that family type love from those kind of people. Yeah. I could take either one of those people for my mother or my father. Those people were that type of people. That's what it was. That's what it was for me. That was my background of learning wisdom and knowledge of how to treat each other. You treat a person how you want to be treated. That's where I learned that from. That was Smith Chapel Church. We had togetherness. We sung together. They taught us how to, as children, taught us how to sing, how to dress when you come to church, how to sit when you come to church, how to act when you come to church. I learned all of that in my growing up at an early age. Black and white, when we got on the choir stand, it was, I knew that's what it was going to be on Sunday morning if I had to sing. There was no question. Black skirt, white blouse, white socks, black shoes. No chewing gum in your mouth. So it was just standard. You learn certain things, when you're growing up in a church like that. You learn stuff that you can tell your children along the way. And how to act, how to dress, how to everything for church. Yeah, and that's where it comes from. When you go onto these jobs, that's exactly where it comes from. Exactly. I love it. I love it. When I think about those days, the walking back and forth, I didn't like so much, but then you have to think about the people that was walking with you, because it was a lot of times it was more than one family walking. And so that was your friends. Just like the Halls, like Floyd Hall knows. That's where we became friends. And so that, because we would go by their house sometimes. They lived on the Smith Chapel Church Road out there. Yeah. when they were I think it was his mother or some of them anyway. Some of the Halls family, they lived out there. I remember that. And Janie Clark, who was she wasn't a Clark at the time. Can't think of her name, but she was younger. But her sister Leslie was a friend of mine when we were growing up. They stayed down the street from us, so we all grew up together. But we kind of parted ways after we got older. But we grew up together, and that's what I was telling Janie. I said, Janie, I know your family, honey. I know your mom, everybody. So it was just one big family. We just grew up together. We had several. The one that I remember, now there was some before that I don't remember that they talk about, like Reverend Gilmore. I don't remember him. But I do remember Reverend Whitmore. I remember him because he used to come and eat dinner with us at home on Sunday afternoons, because we fed the pastors on Sundays after church. Whether we had a second service or not, sometimes they would come home and eat with us.
We all those preachers, like, we would take them, they would come home with you. Never was a Sunday somebody would invite them each Sunday to their homes to eat. They would eat at your home.
And I used to be ashamed for them to come and eat with us, because we had just a little, a house. But my mother kept it clean, but just like I said, we didn't have inside bathrooms and stuff like that. And so I used to be ashamed of that, but it didn't make a difference. We had this huge dining room table. We had a beautiful living room, and out from the living room was the dining room. And Mama set that dining room up, long table with her silverware and her, all of that on the table, and fed that pastor. We didn't have much, but what we had, we shared. Man, that's why I learned from setting my dining room table. I set my dining room table because my mother set her dining room table. She was very elegant about that. She wanted her dining room table set. I learned that from her. I learned how to respect the minister from her. I learned that, and I learned how to be a missionary from her. How to go in and help somebody, feed somebody, and not grumble when you're doing it. You just do it. I learned that. I learned how to serve somebody, because my mother would serve. She didn't mind serving. And so I learned that, how to serve, and how to place the forks on the table, the forks and spoons, all the silverware and stuff, how to do all of that, because that was something that my mother taught me how to do. And she was didn't have much, but what she had, she taught us how to use it and use it well. Yeah, didn't have much. But she used her best. She used her best for people.
And then a lot of times, like, maybe, I don't know if it was the end of the year, how they would bring food and pound the preacher. We call it pounding. I don't know if that was the end of the year. But I know we had to pound them. We'd give them food. But they were good people. All those preachers, they were good ministers.
Yeah, we pound our pastors. We pound them. Special occasions, I don't know. I don't remember, maybe revivals or whatever. I think it was that we pound the pastors. We carried sugar or whatever we had, okra, whatever. Peaches or whatever, we carried it to the church for the pastor at a certain time, and made sure that he had stuff, because churches didn't have a whole lot of money at that time, so we pounded our pastors, and that's what we done then. That was, but Reverend Whitmore, I remember him, and I remember Reverend Filson and Reverend Kearns. Those are the ones that I remember. They were very good pastors. I remember them. Very good pastors. But that's what we learned growing up. That's what we learned growing up in the church, how to do stuff like that, how to love one another. And I miss that. I miss that in the church now, because it seems like now that has gone away. People don't love each other like they used to. Nothing else. And that was our entertainment. Our young people, that was our entertainment. We went to church with each other, and we made friends with each other. We laughed and talked while we were there. We carried a conversation spilled over to our school, and the love for each other was at our school. We knew who we were at school. So that was the love that we learned right there at Smith Chapel.
Built that connection.
Built that connection. And it has continued to this day. It has continued to this day. Dorothy Smith is like my sister. The Knuckles girls and boys. Well, Hezekiah's gone now, but he was like a big brother to me. I loved him like a big brother. Hezekiah was like, I'm telling you, Hezekiah was like a big brother to me. I loved him. And his brother Ricky, I call him Ricky, but his name is Adam. He was like a little brother to me. We were just close. And Pat, she was a sister, we were just close. And the older boys, and their sisters, and they were all friends. We were all friends. And June and Boo, they my brothers. They my brothers. They will always be my brothers. Yeah, always be my brothers. I wish that in our church today, at Smith Chapel today, that the young people would learn each other, learn to love each other, know who each other is, know more about each other, and learn to fellowship at church together, do things at church together, and have that bond like we had, and carry it on for the rest of their lives, and know that if something happened to them, that the other person is going to be there for them.
To me, it's working together, because we work together, then we had unity.
That's the way it is with us. We have each other's back no matter what. No matter what. That group of people, if something happened to Dorothy right now, I would be there for her. I mean, something happened to anybody in that group, it's just that we would be there for each other. That's no question about it. There's no question about it. We would be there. Yeah. We would be there. And that's what I wish that the young people would, have that closeness, that love for one another in our church now. I wish they would do that. I really wish they would have that love for each other. Get close to one another. Learn each other. Be there for each other. Yeah, because we've just always been close.